This is very interesting. The Man of Steel meets the Toxic Avenger himself, Swamp Thing. Oh, hey everyone. Just reminiscing a few things. Anyway, this is a topic for today. I'm going to talk to you about Swamp Thing. But before I'm going to get to Swamp Thing, I'm going to explain something to you guys. I know some of you are wondering, even though I did an Alan Moore trilogy, I haven't come around to talk about Constantine or From Hell. Well, I know they both were created by Alan Moore, but the problem was the way they created Constantine. The real Constantine from the comic, he's British, not Californian like Keanu Reeves. I mean, his performance was just awful. And of course, the way he looked, Constantine wore a red tie and a beige jacket and beige pants. And that's tan. And he never wore black. I guess black is not his favorite color. I mean, if you really want to know about the real Constantine, I think you should just watch the TV series they made. And now I hear that the show is going to get canceled soon, so gotta watch it if you can. Or get it on DVD. From Hell, on the other hand, it's his theory about Jack the Ripper. But, me and Grandma, we watch a lot of forensic criminologist stuff about Jack the Ripper. And his theory about Jack the Ripper wasn't exactly in the right spot the way we thought of it. Well, Alan Moore, he always thought about conspiracy stuff, and I'm not really into conspiracy things. Anyway, let's get to Swamp Thing now, ladies and gentlemen. Swamp Thing was the most popular character back in the 80s. He appeared in the 70s, and then Alan Moore took over in the 80s, and he made an outstanding story. Now here's the Swamp Thing's origin. He used to be a brilliant scientist who goes by the name of Dr. Alex Holland, and he was trying to find a cure for world hunger. And he created this formula. It can make things grow 10 times as average than any normal plant. Until his arch nemesis, called Dr. Arcane, he's a former Nazi who sold his soul to the devil, and now he's a demon who has a lab with his gruesome, twisted experiments. And Arcane wants Dr. Alex Holland's formula. And of course, Alex grabbed the formula and dropped it and got some of it on him. His formula, it explodes like nitroglycerin. So he got caught on fire, he was burning, and he jumped into a swamp water, and his DNA was mixed, and therefore he became the Toxic Avenger himself, called Swamp Thing. And he battles against the evil demon / mad scientist, Dr. Arcane. And that's the thing about him.
That's right. He got my legacy. He told me everything about me. So I'm in a never-ending quest to find a way to turn myself back to normal once again. Hold it right there, Swamp Thing! Dr. Arcane. Yes, it is I, Dr. Arcane, on a never-ending quest for my immortality. You always want your immortality, but you can't live forever, Arcane, 'cause I will stop you. And I will destroy you any mean I can.
Guys!
What?
Now, I told you guys you can hang around. And Arcane, I thought you retired for being a villain. And that is true, folks. He retired for being a villain.
Oh, yes. You're right. I have retired. But there are times I still think about plotting my revenge. And I always there to stop you, Arcane. But since the forces of evil is still at large. How about, instead of fighting against one another, how about you and I work together for once?
You got a deal.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing
And Arcane, together, battling against the forces of evil. With my evil technology and scientific experiments
and my plant ability.
we will be unstoppable against those who do evil.
Precisely. And if you do keep on trying to be evil, I'll be watching you.
Oh, please.
Those two. You see, this is what happens when I have superheroes and villains living in my house. I mean, they always argue, they always talking and everything. Well, anyway, let's get to the franchise, shall we?
I thought you'd never talk about it.
Quiet, Swampy. Anyway, Swamp Thing got so popular that Wes Craven himself made this. A movie of Swamp Thing. And it's starring Louis Jordan as Evil Arcane. And of course, not many people know that the actor who played Swamp Thing, the guy who was in the costume, his name is Dick Durock. Dick Durock, he played Swamp Thing from the first movie here by Wes Craven, and of course his ex-wife in it. I don't know if it's Wes Craven's ex-wife or John Carpenter's ex-wife. Anyway, the movie was good. It sticked more to the actual story itself. And if you guys ever find this movie, go ahead and watch it. It's pretty awesome. Very, very good. Now to the sequel, it's not exactly that good. The Return of Swamp Thing. Dick Durock's in it, and so does Louis Jordan, who plays Arcane, and Heather Locklear is in this, and she plays Abby Arcane. Now, if you don't know who Abby Arcane is, she's in the comic. She's a vegetarian girl who falls in love with Swamp Thing because he's a plant. It's kind of odd, a romance between a plant and a human. And now I hear that they have a daughter named Tiff, who is part human, part plant. That's weird. Anyway, Heather Locklear, she's only in it because she's beautiful and sexy, and that's about it. But she couldn't act out of a paper bag. The one who really do act is Sarah Douglas, who plays Arcane's right-hand woman, who helps Arcane find a way for his immortality. And of course, it's kind of odd because Sarah Douglas, she played. She was in Superman Return. She was in She was in Superman Part 2 with General Zod. Yep, the woman who played the villain in Superman played the villain in this. But of course, it turns out she wants to help Abby Arcane. And of course, Arcane killed her in the movie. This movie, those of you who are Swamp Thing fans, have this for your collection, and for those of you who are like honest movie watchers who want to watch good movies, avoid this. The first one is a lot better than the second one. And then all of a sudden they did the series Swamp Thing series. I don't have the DVD of it, and I wish I have, but it ran about 2 or 3 seasons of Swamp Thing, starring Dick Durock as Swamp Thing himself, but they switch Arcane in it. And then they did a cartoon series of Swamp Thing, and I've been watching the cartoon series of Swamp Thing ever since I was a little kid, and I pretty enjoyed it. And after that, that's how the fame of Swamp Thing ended. And as a Swamp Thing fan that I am, I just wish they would have brought Swamp Thing back to fame once again. Like, I mean, they would have him on the Justice League Unlimited. Since they introduced all the superheroes, why not Swamp Thing become the member of the Justice League? It wouldn't hurt. And of course, they should have introduced Swamp Thing on Batman Brave and the Bold. I mean, heck, in the comic book, Swamp Thing teamed up with Constantine in the series. Anyway, would Swamp Thing come back to popularity? I guess we'll never know. But I'm hoping that sooner or later they should brought Swamp Thing back out of the swamp and back into fame the way he was back in the old days. So for the future, only time will tell. Anyway, this is Michael Graham, aka Multi-Voice Reviewer, and stay tuned for the next month, because in June, I'm going to create a special month. It might knock your socks off. And besides June 4th, it's going to be my birthday, so happy birthday to me. But in June, it's going to be Asian Month, where I'm going to be reviewing all Asian films. So you guys stay tuned. And this is Multi-Voice Reviewer telling you all, thank you for watching.